Okay, you're very welcome back to the Rossie Podcast in association with Shannonside FM. It's semi-final weekend in the Roscommon Football Championships, and joined again this week by Willie Hegarty to look at these games. So there's two in each grade. There's senior, intermediate, and junior action this weekend. So Willie, will start with the senior action, and first up on Saturday is St. Follies against Porrick Pierces. And look, I mean, maybe people weren't expecting this pairing. I know it was a pairing same time last year, but I don't think either team, or like from the outside, anyways, people would have expected this matchup a couple of weeks ago, anyways.
Yeah, maybe a couple of weeks ago, Darragh, people would probably have expected Porrick Pierce to be in the last four anyway. I mean, that'd be a given. For St. Follies, it just shows the progress that they made 12 months ago has been built upon. I think that experience of reaching the semi-final last year, and I think Follies would be absolutely delighted to get this game because they didn't perform last year in the semi-final. They simply didn't turn up. It was a wet, miserable evening in Hyde Park, and Follies played like a team they didn't believe they were going to win the semi-final. After having a great quarter-final win over Clonagale. So they should have been bouncing into that semi-final, but for some other reason, they just never took off. And Follies are probably wondering, would it be 12 months, 24 months, when they might get a chance to get back to the semi-final? So they've got that chance again. They took it against Michael Glavies. They have already beaten Porrick Pierces in the first round. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I'm not too sure. Do you poke a bear? If you poke a bear, don't go back and poke him twice. But so look at Follies. Look at both teams are there in merit. Follies have come the direct route. Pierce have come the 5 games played, extra time against Oran and Boyle. So the defending champions are taking the rocky road to Hyde Park to get to a county final via Kiltoom on Saturday evening. But both teams are on merit, and if both teams can produce what they produced in the quarterfinals, the scoring ability of both was absolutely extraordinary. Even though it took Porrick Pierce's 50 minutes to get into the game, it should be a really good game, Darragh.
Yeah, so you're looking at both teams. Would it be fair to say Follies are maybe slightly stronger this year, and Pierce's, we still don't know, but are they slightly weaker than they were last year?
I think me and you in a few podcasts are having a game of tennis with Porrick Pierces, Darragh. We're over and back. If I was going to war, I would love to be going in the Porrick Pierces camp because, since 2019, they have become, it took them a long time to win their first county title. And they had more scrapes than a bad car or a bad driver. And suddenly, that experience, and I mean, I don't think any other team in the county would have pulled out the game against Boyle that they pulled out. Now, we can say that Boyle, did Boyle panic when they were in front? Did Boyle's inexperience of not being able to win a big game come back to haunt them? Whatever, but Porrick Pierces, it took them a long time to get going, but when they did, they showed why they are champions. And when you're a defending champion and when you have that kind of killer instinct in you, you're hard to beat. And they had to do it again, Orden. So, they're Porrick Pierce have tried, they're tried and trusted on this motorway. For Follies, yeah, I mean, they've almost much the same personnel as last year. But the thing about Follies is that they have great footballers. And I think the difference to this year than last year is the 2 points. And, Kieran Murta and Jeremy last year, if they kicked 9 or 10 points, all of a sudden now that's nearly 20. You know what I mean? It's an extra point. So suddenly from being the boys having 9 or 10, now suddenly the Murtas are getting 12, 13 and 14. So, Keane Glynn in the middle of the field, David Rooney, the Fallons, the Nerneys, but Conor Kennelly's been exceptional wing forward. So they're a merit, Darragh, and I just hope they turn up. And I suppose they had some good games in Kiltoom last year, Follies, and they do look. I think they showed against Michael Glavies this year in the quarter-final that suddenly they have the team that believe in themselves. And if they bring that to the table on Saturday evening, above in Kiltoom, good pitch, good atmosphere, good crowd, they could take us all around this dance floor. Pierces have been in Kiltoom before. against Orden late night, almost brought us to midnight, beat Orden. So, look, we know we're going to get with Pearse, Darragh. If Foyles can produce what they have so far in the championship, bar their first half performance against Cannygale, it's they have it in them. They have it in them to bring Pearses right to the wire, because Pearses are giving up a lot of chances, Darragh. That's the one thing I agree with you. They're resilient, they're tough, but Orden, Foyles, all teams are scoring against Pearses this year.
Yeah, and if you're in the Follies camp, you know, you're mentioning the 2 point rule there. Do they nearly, if they even have the wind in the first half, do they nearly just have to go for those 2 pointers? I'm nearly thinking in my head, you know, when Meath played Donegal earlier in the year, it didn't work in their favour, but Meath, you could see, were going for every 2 point chance they got, because they felt in their head they probably maybe needed 4 or 5 of them to have stand a chance being the underdog against Donegal that day. Do you think Follies, with the Murtas, with Kennelly, with Rooney, you know, Rooney can definitely kick one as well, that are they thinking, if we can get wind, play with the wind in the first half, if there's enough of a wind, that we need to be nearly taking these 2 pointers and maybe need 4 or 5 of them to stand a chance?
They got 6 in the second half with the wind against Marky Glavies. That was a defining. That's why they won the match. In the first half, they kept it tight and scored until a point down at the break. And you almost looked at Foyles going in, saying to themselves, "We're going to win this game, lad," because we have the wind to come, and they do. I mean, we're talking about Bridges later, who almost are a bit like Barcelona. They have to walk the ball almost in over the goal line. For Foyles, they don't need that. Foyles, if they get to the arc, they're having a bang. Kennelly, Glennon, Rooney, the Murtas, they're going for it. So, yeah, I mean, if there's a wind, the weather has promised dodgy enough the weekend. But definitely, Foyles with a wind are dangerous, Darragh. There's no two ways about it. They kick 6 against Michael Glavies, which got the game for them. So, but then again, the other hand, Pearse has kicked 5 against Boyle, 3 with the last 7 minutes. The game gone from them. I mean, they were on death row. And Carey kicked 3 Hailey Mary's miraculous scores of extreme pressure, where he knew if he missed one of them, that was it. It was over. So you have two teams that are just the way they play the game at the moment. And people 12 months ago said, Pearses won't adapt to the new rules. Sure, they're scoring like Brazil in World Cups. They're they have real ammunition up front, and both sides have. So let's hope, Darragh, that and I think they will, because it's just the way the game has gone now. Sure, you can't pack your defence.
Yep. And from, like, we're talking about the Follies threats there, I suppose for Pearses, in Paul Carey, I would argue over the last, say, maybe 5 years, has it been a more consistent player across those 5 years in Roscommon club football? It hasn't just worked from a county level, and I'd imagine he'll be getting another shot under Mark Dowd and the new management next year. He'd have to, based on his performances, get a call and some sort of tryout in an FBD game at the bare minimum. But in Paul Carey, is there a better club footballer in Roscommon, over the last few years?
Yeah, look, he's been exceptionally really good for Pearses. The last 2 games against Orden and Boyle have both gone take the time, but he's kicked not 20. So that's phenomenal shooting by any club. Yeah, I mean, he's consistent up there with them. There'll be probably a lot of club players, Darragh, that would rival Paul Carey over the last number of years, club-wise, but consistently wise. And when the game is in the melting pot, that's when you need players to stand up. And it's very easy, kick points when you're 7 or 8 points in front. But the last day against Boyle, they were really, you know what I mean? They were about to be evicted from the championship, and Carey answered the call. So, yeah, I mean, for consistency, for courage, for bravery, and, showing up, was it Jim Gavin that made the statement last night in the presidential election debate? I'm going to turn up. I mean, sure, we expect him to turn up anyway. But when Paul Carey turns up, Paul Carey turns on the style as well. So, and it was funny the last day, one other player that had been quite up to now, Darragh, is just coming back, had been injury. I seen him sluggish in the early rounds, Hubert Darcy.
Yeah.
1-5 the last day. Now suddenly Carey has a co-pilot. Carey has a partner. Jack Tumulty, every second, third game will ban 2 or 3. Colleran still has a bit to learn, but he can kick 2 or 3. But Darcy, I mean, suddenly 1-15 the last day. between Darcy and Kerry. It's going to be hard to keep them boys quiet. Declan Kinney running all over the place. Pace, excitement, playing off the cup football. So Darcy could be the wild card. If we're talking for the county final, Darcy could be the wild card Saturday. He's just getting into form. Another 2 weeks training. He was, in extra time against Boyle. This boy was loving it, and he was putting his hand up to get the ball. So Kerry, Darcy, like they were in 19, like they were in 21. Like boys on forming the band again. These boys are back again. They're back again, Darragh.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so we know we have a few more games to look at, so we'll get predictions on this one. Look, you called Pearses to take out your surprise package, spoil the last game. So I presume, well, you might throw a curveball in it, but I think you'll go Pearses, will you?
I know I don't like the NFL game. It was in Croke Park last Sunday, Darragh, so I wouldn't watch it. So I'm not going to throw any curveball into you. But no, I look at Foyles are capable. There's no two ways about it. And when you go to a game, look, sometimes we link Foyles with the Murters, which is unfair on a lot of other players in Foyles because they have a lot of other really, really good footballers. But when you have Diarmuid and Kieran, capable of kicking scores they can kick, they always have a chance. I just hope if both teams go at this, Darragh, it could be we could have another Clan. Remember last year, Clan Foyles in the quarter-final? It was, what a game. I think we could have something similar again, but look at I'd be very reluctant the last 5 or 6 years to go against Pádraig Pearses. I just have this I don't know, I won't say love affair with them, but I just feel that they've really, really come together at the club, and I give them the vote, Darragh, to get to another county final.
Okay, well that's Pearses in the final according to the Rossie Podcast predictions, and anyways, we'll see what the weekend.
That's mine. That's one half of the podcast.
Yeah, yes.
The
The other semi-final, look, Bridges and Clan, two neighbouring clubs, and they know each other so well. A bit of a derby there, of course. Now Bridges, of course, will go in favourites here. But again, I think for Clan, we've seen glimpses. I think maybe the Finn game, okay, I only seen bits of it, but it looked like, okay, maybe it was a bit of more of a struggle than they would have liked. But against Follies, for instance, in the last group game, they showed great glimpses, especially in the first half. It's kind of, we probably know what Bridges will turn up, probably similar to the performance against the Gaels. It's whether what Clan Gael turn up, I think, is nearly the bigger question for this one.
Yeah, I mean, Clan have been like this the last number of years, Darragh. Very good in the group, and then haven't been able to manage the quarterfinals. It's the first semi-final since 2021. They haven't beaten Bridges since 2018 in the championship. Up to 97, it was, Clan Gael, they were the top dog in Roscommon, in Connacht football. And, Bridges, they weren't bothered about Bridges. Then Bridges beat them in the 97 final, and since then, it's been all Bridges. And, it's been tough on Clan. They've had to sit back. They've had to stomach it. They've had to take it. 2018, they give some medicine to Bridges. Donny Shine was outstanding in that final. Clan beat Bridges, but Clan haven't done it since. Bridges have come back to do it. So, Clan, Bridges feel... It's funny between the three of them. Clan can beat Pearses. Bridges can beat Clan, and Pearses can beat Bridges. So, psychologically, Clan find it hard to beat Bridges, but I'd imagine Paddy Gavin is going to get the job of following Ben O'Carroll no matter where he goes. If Wurton Harney can produce the middle of the field, and they will have the, Kieran Lennon. You mentioned about one of the great club footballers in Paul Carey. When Kieran Lennon plays well for Clan, Clan really take off. They'll need Declan Kidd, they'll need Josh Lennon. Oisin O'Flaherty has been playing well for them. So Dylan Summers. So, they have... It's more about what Clan... You're right, Darragh. You just find it hard to trust Clan more than Bridges. Bridges told us again Roscommon Gaels to give us all a little slap in the wrist. How dare you doubt us after the Michael Glavies stumble. I mean, now in the first half again Roscommon Gaels, Bridges, we're saying to ourselves, Jesus, Bridges, they haven't recovered from this flu against Michael Glavies. The second half, they were just outstanding. I mentioned earlier that about Bridges, that just remind me of Barcelona. They're looking for the perfect scores all the time. And they're looking. Every score must be absolutely meticulous. But there was one moment again Roscommon Gales, I think, where a ball came off the post. I think within 4 seconds, Darragh, they had it over the bar at the far end of the field. There's no doubt Bridges could terrorise Clan with their pace, with their movement, but their Bridges just want everything absolutely perfect. Now, Ben and Bobby Nugent up front, really, really good. Ben looks sharp, back to his best that we've seen in the last 12 months. Rory Smith was really good at corner. Sean Trundle. I mean, they have an intercounty midfield partnership. Jane Conan, Eddie Nolan. Um, so they're really, really strong, Darragh, and they just looked folks. If you were watching them, if you were a person that was going to play Bridges down the line and just watching them in Ballyfour and again the Gales, you'd be worried because they looked very focused, Darragh, and they looked like a team that have suddenly decided the whole of Roscommon is against us, and the whole of Roscommon doesn't want us to win the championship. So they have a kind of a mindset now of us against the rest, and that's dangerous for Clan. But let's hope that it's about time the Clan turned up in a county semi-final, and Clan have the players, Darragh. I just think sometimes they just don't believe in themselves enough.
Yeah, I'd agree there. I think if you look at the Bridges team, for instance, and I might be wrong because I don't have it to hand, but I'd say almost every line would have an inter-county player on it. I'm not sure. To
Oh, the wood there, and the last day against the Gales, 8 of the first 15 played in the National Football League for Roscommon this year.
Yeah.
So
that's it. I mean, that's serious depth. I think you're on about the mental thing. I think that is it. I think that's probably the question people will have going into this game. Do Clonagale? I mean, people were on about. Do we think Clonagale? Do Clonagale think they're going to topple Bridges at the weekend? I think that's one of the big things that they have to get right in their own heads. And I think for Bridges, it was an efficient performance against the Gales. You said the first half, a few misses. I think it was tight enough at half time. Was only a point or two in it, from what I remember. But I think the second half, they just showed their quality. And I think, as you said there as well, what we learned about them is we're on about volleys and 2-pointers, and that Bridges will probably put up big score lines without 2-pointers.
Yeah, I mean the last day in the 12 quarter final games there were 61 2-pointers, and two teams, Bridges senior team and intermediate team, kicked out 2-pointers, and Roscommon Gales was on another team. So it was two Bridges teams, 30 footballers, and they kicked no 2-pointers. And that's why I just think at times they probably haven't the 2-point shooters, Darragh. Bill Carr is a fox in the box.
Yeah.
Bill's not going to kick 2-pointers. Bobby isn't. They keep Ben and Bobby close to goal. Now Shane Cunnan is capable of doing it. Eddie doesn't. Eddie drives. So Bridges, they have an all-round really, really quality, technically excellent footballers, but they don't have what Pierce's or Foyers do, boys kick balls over the bar from outside the arc. That's not Bridges' game at the moment. I think if they try that, they'll get frustrated. Their job is speed, precision, off the shoulder running, and get it to B&B, Ben and Bobby inside. And look, when you Ben and Bobby inside, that's Bridges' game plan, and it's up to the opposition to try and stop that. That's why Owen Harney in the middle of the field, Oshino Flaherty, how will Kieran Lynn around there, how will Clan do to maybe, I think Clan could turn this into a war of attrition, stop Bridges from getting the quick ball in. They've got some chance, but it's the pace of Bridges and the boys inside that can do serious damage. And it's up to Clan Gale to try and come up with something to stop that. Michael Glavies took the game to Bridges. I think Clan will look at the Michael Glavies Bridges game and maybe try and copy Michael Glavies.
Yeah.
The Bradley Glavies stopped Bridges coming out of the fence at the pace. Easier said than done, Darragh, now, because they're lightning fast. But that's what Glavies did to Bridges, and it caught them by surprise. And I think Clan might try something similar on Sunday. Looking forward to it. Woodmount. If Pierce are in the final, it'll bring the locals out, and then you have Clan and Bridges. It'll bring a lot of neutrals out. 3:00 on a Sunday afternoon. It's like a 3:00 Premier League match on a Saturday. Everyone loves that in a Saturday afternoon Premier League game. 3:00 prime time on a Sunday. Bridges, Clonagale, great pitch, should be a cracking atmosphere. And if Clan can, that have produced the best performance in years, if they can do it, then we could really have a special afternoon.
Yeah, I think it was probably a good call to have these semi-finals in the smaller venues like Kiltoom and Woodmount to create that bit more of an atmosphere. I mean, we're on about the height nearly feels like Crow Park maybe for some of these club games. They can get 1,000 people can get very lost in a bigger ground. So I think Woodmount on Sunday should be a great atmosphere. So you're going to edge for Bridges from what I gather. I think.
Yeah, you read the tea leaves there, Darragh. Yeah, look, you'd have to go for Bridges. I mean, Clan haven't just done it the last number of years in big games to say they can do this. Clan are probably. I'd probably rank Clan 3 at the moment. We'll see how they get on at the weekend. But yeah. I mean, you'd have to at this stage. It to me, Bridges. It would be a shock for me if Bridges don't reach the final.
Yeah, okay. That's the senior championship done for now. Intermediate semi-finals as well. Looking quickly to those. Erogue against St. Michael's on Saturday. Erogue would have expected to be here. St. Michael's, I think in their own mind they would have been targeting a semi-final. I think maybe the draw worked out well for them and fair play to them. A great year. Consolidated intermediate football last year. Semi-final the year after. Erogue are favourites, but Michael's can cause them problems.
Oh yeah, Michael's are an improving team. I mean, we kind of took the opening round of the championship, Michael's Tulse division, for granted. That Michael's give Tulse a great game, 50 minutes, and then they died away and Tulse won the game. But now Michael's are further in the championship than Tulse. Yeah. And then Michael's targeted the Craigs game, beat Craigs, beat Barry's, and then got the rub of the green, got the seeded place in the quarter final, and then took out. I mean, what I impressed me most all year, it's not the Craigs game or the way against Tulse. It was that they took out Kilmore with like an assassin. Usually Kilmore and Michael's tight tigerish battles, but Michael's won as well. So yeah, they're dangerous, Darragh. The Henry brothers are exceptional footballers. I think they have a future. They're future inter-county footballers on the 20 levels further down the line. They're really, really good players, Michael's. They've now moved on from where they were just trying to become an intermediate team. They're now an established media team 2 years in a row. Erogue have been excellent. Beaten finalists 2 years in a row, beaten semi-finalists last year. In the last 3 years, the only games Erogue have lost have been to the teams that have won it. And this year, they find themselves probably going to find it tough to win it. But, I mean, at the moment, Conor Cox is, he's a one-man machine. He kicked 15 points the last day. He's kicking 2-pointers as if they were 21 metres out from goal. So at intermediate level, when you have a player like Conor Cox, it's but then again they have the green boys, Daniel Hagney. So look, they have a lot of good footballers here, Rogue. And Dennis Barron is playing great football at full back. So I would expect Rogue to win this. Michael's nothing to lose. Semi-final of a championship. They haven't won the intermediate since 71. For Rogue, I've lost 2 finals, a semi-final last 3 years. Is it time to do something to get off the posh, for Erogue. I think Erogue gets the final, Darragh. I think they'll have too much for Michael's. Even though Michael's will be game, they'll be up for it. They'll rattle Erogue, but I think Cox and Erogue will get over the line here, and Erogue will be in the third final in 4 years.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. And the one that Conor Cox is, I mean, he's been the big takeaway from the intermediate championship. We all do. Conor Cox, probably the 2-point rule would suit him down to the ground, but I mean, maybe not to the extent he's shooting. He is absolutely taking advantage of that rule, let's just say, and I'm sure he'll be eyeing up a few more at the weekend. The other semi-final, Strokestown against Fury. Strokestown, we would have expected to be here. Fury, I have to say, I didn't see that win coming against Tulsk. A great win for them. And I kind of said before the Tulsk game, look, whatever's gone before, it's quarter-final time. They're there where they wanted to be. They performed against Tulsk, and now they have a semi-final place. Strokestown be favourites, but again, they'll definitely be wary of Fury, especially after that Tulsk result the last day.
I mean, you mentioned there, Tulsk didn't see it coming, Darragh. And that was a big problem for Tulsk. I mean, they didn't see the train coming down the track. And fair play to Fury, really, Garrow did it was outstanding that day. And the one thing about Fury was that we kind of all just didn't. Were blindsided was that Fermanagh and League were out of the hurling championship a bit earlier this year. And that was a huge buzz for Furty, that 2 or 3 weeks there with all the lads back and they could fully concentrate on football. Up to now, it was kind of every second week hurling football, and it's hard when you have a football week to come back to hurling, and when you have a hurling week, it's hard to come back to football. But they had a clean slate and they had a lovely run into the Tulse game. And of course, I won't say they were over insulted, but they were completely written off. And Furty are always capable, and it's funny, hindsight is brilliant. And if you go back to the opening round of the championship, they gave Rogue lots of it in the first round. And, so that should have been a little warning sign for Tulse, but Tulse didn't pass the warning sign. And Tulse had probably the poorest performance of the year, and Furty took advantage of it. So, yeah, Furty will be. But now Stoketown have been warned. And just the way Stoketown took out Craig, and if you look at the Stoketown team, you'd almost say there should be a senior club. A lot of these boys have come to senior championship medals. And I think last year, Stoketown thought they were just going to turn up and put on the sun hat and sun cream and everything would be rosy. It'd be a sun holiday to win the intermediate championship, and they were found out. So I think they have changed it around this year. Their mentality is different. Their focus is different. And they've treated every game differently. And they respect Furty. And Furty will fancy another crack at it. But for Furty to win the intermediate championship now, to have to beat Tulsk, to have to beat Stoketown, and probably maybe a Rogue in the final. I mean, that's almost 3 Beaches Brooks to do it. So I probably think that this could catch them, Darragh, a little bit. But Furty are such a great club, and they have a lovely footballers who can really play football when they're tuned into the occasion. But you'd have to say what the players of Stoketown have, and the McGann, the Nearys, Comptons, the Fallons. Stoketown are at it. Stoketown are in the groove. Stoketown will win it, Darragh. So, I would predict Rogue Stoketown county final.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that as well. I know we're running out of time, so just in a minute, the junior championship, Ballinameen against St. Aidan's, Western Gales B against St. Crohn's. This is no disrespect to Western Gales B. You'd have to assume St. Crohn's should win that comfortably and be in the junior final. The other game, a bit more of a toss-up. Who do you think of joining St. Crohn's briefly in the final?
Oh, a real toss-up. Both of them are unbeaten. I always say Cannygale's second team is a yardstick in the junior championship, and both of them have beaten them. Ballinameen came back from the dead. Aidan, they're a young side. They've been involved with football, hurling, 4 roads, some of them. They're a young side, Aidan's. And Ballinameen might just have more street-wise. And Desi Carlos is like a good wine. He's getting better with age. He's kicking some great scores. So a tentative vote, a very tentative one, Darragh, for the old dog of Ballinameen to probably just get the better of the young pup. I'm sure St. Crohn's, they had no game yet, Darragh. I mean, the Lord bless St. David's. They'll get to, Western Gales, brilliant. Senior team stayed up. Second team in a junior A semi-final. What a couple of weeks for Western Gales. Crohn's have marched into it. Oh, toss up, Darragh. This for extra time. Ballinameen, Darragh, Crohn's.
Yeah, I think that Ballinameen Aidan's game, it's a big game for both clubs. They'll be looking to get into a final. As I said, Crohn's, again, no disrespect, we didn't feel to be disrespectful Western Gales B, but Crohn's, you would have to imagine every day of the week should be in a junior final. So it'll be interesting to see who joins them. Okay, we managed to get through it in just under the half an hour. Willie, as always, thanks very much. And just remember, this podcast will be available on YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we'll have a look ahead to the finals in a couple of weeks' time.